Hey, this is Royce Hall, your host of the Coffee Dream Podcast. I'm a Salesforce consultant by day and podcaster by night. And today I'm joined by Rebecca Youngquist. She's an absolute powerhouse when it comes to revenue operations and Salesforce strategy, and an incredible background, I think, when she started with nuclear engineering and her sister brought her into the Salesforce ecosystem several years ago. From there, she's mentoring Salesforce talent, mentoring the next generation. She's a 6-time Salesforce certified pro, and she's a master of project management. Today, we dig into RevOps. What are key things that we need to know in RevOps? We also talk about her company, Leap, and the Salesforce AI project they're doing right now with Agentforce. We also get into a very unique tool that Rebecca is working with. So I hope that you stay tuned, give us a like, and comment. Rebecca, you are currently the Salesforce Platform Manager at Leap. It is great to have you today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you joining us, and I think we're going to have a good conversation today. One of the things that I immediately picked up on you when I was just looking up on LinkedIn, one of the things that you say is that your path to where you are in the Salesforce ecosystem is anything but straight. And you were in the Navy, you were working on nuclear reactors, like one of the most interesting career paths, I think. And I have an interesting path myself. I've took me a long time to get into the Salesforce ecosystem professionally. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely it was not traditional by any means. And I have and I'm sure I'll talk about it more. I have my sister to thank for even breaking into the ecosystem and finding Salesforce to begin with. But yeah, it's been a weird, not weird. I don't want to say weird. I want to say very interesting and fun. I've been doing this now for 4.5 years, going on 5. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot of stuffed animals for only 4.5 to 5 years in. You're doing great.
I know there's so many. I would move my camera, but there's so many. There's shelves up here, I promise.
Yeah, it's crazy how much of a Salesforce thing that has become. But
It's like a collectible thing. It's especially when you go to the events and people they're standing up on stage and they're waving around the stuffies and you're just like, oh, I want that, even though I don't need it and I have no space for it. I still want it. So I think I want to say my first one was a little baby Astro in a Trailblazer hoodie. And then the rest is history. I just went blazing from there.
it's amazing how much of a in the Salesforce ecosystem we talk about the Salesforce Ohana, the family, and there's Slack channels and everything, and it's amazing how something like as simple as I got my little spangly Astro back here. It's amazing how something so simple as a stuffed animal really, I don't know, sucks people in. It's like we're part of a group and creates that family feeling. I think that's an amazing thing that you don't see from most companies. Oracle's not giving out stuffed animals.
That's true. I did notice that too. There's not a lot of other people who are doing you get stickers, you get your pins, you get your stuffies, the hoodies too. The hoodies are a huge deal. I can't tell you how many times, when I see this little tiny logo on someone's sleeve, I'm like, I want to talk to you about your hoodie.
Yeah, I mean, and you're wearing the newest one, the Agent Blazer.
Yes.
Kudos to you.
That is actually, yeah, this has been, I bought mine. I didn't win mine. I didn't get any cool selections, but I bought it because my company is in the middle of a Service Cloud with an Agentforce implementation. So I was like, you know what, since I'm doing it, let's get the hoodie, right?
Yeah, well, that's cool. Well, can you share about that?
Yeah,
what you're doing there?
Oh my God, absolutely. So we actually, my company was using TalkDesk for a while. So when I first got here, we were in the middle of getting ready to implement. So I helped them implement last summer. But we had all these Service Cloud licenses sitting in our arsenal, if you will. And we were like, well, we're sitting on them. Why aren't we using them? Why aren't we making our team go outside of the TalkDesk and do some stuff? So we did some internal talking. We had a contract renewal for Salesforce earlier this year. And we were like, well, why don't we just do Service Cloud? and move our team on over. So we looked into it. Everything looked great. The AI piece obviously is huge. I mean, it's not just my company who's looking for AI. It's all of them everywhere. And we were like, let's get more AI into the system and kind of help speed things up and improve these processes. So we decided earlier this year, we're going to go ahead and move on forward with Service Cloud. So we're actually finalizing another project that we just completed with billing. Once that's done and I refresh my full copy sandbox, we're heads down and we're going to start turning Service Cloud on. And it's going to be, I'm so excited because I already know what it can do. I've seen what Agentforce can do now. I've seen what Einstein is capable of now compared to a couple of years ago when I last used Service Cloud, and I'm stoked about it. So that's what we're doing. And so yeah, next week I believe is kickoff next Wednesday.
Wow.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, I'll have to follow up with you and see how that's going. You'll have to tell me what a great success it was.
Oh, yeah. I plan to make it successful. I'm going to do my best.
Very good. Well, Rebecca, one of the things I like to hear, like, you're obviously very passionate about Salesforce and what you're doing, very proud of what you're doing, and I know that you're giving back to the community as well. So I'd love to dig into, like, what is your why behind that? That's kind of like motivating you in your career in Salesforce.
Oh my gosh. So I love this question because it's kind of like, it's the very typical, why did I start in Salesforce? And it's because I really needed a job that felt stable and that could help me make money, right? Like anybody else on this planet who's like, I need a job and I need something that like I can be good enough at that I can like make a living off of. But when I retired from the military in 2021, and I kind of like swung into this realm of things, I was introduced to a company. They're called Promethean. I have no problem shouting them out. They're fantastic. But I was introduced to them and I started on as their sales ops analyst. And when I got there, I realized that I had spent 7 months, like from January until I got hired on right in like August, learning Salesforce. And like things for me, when I'm learning things, I like puzzles, right? Salesforce felt like a puzzle. And I got like very, very into it very quickly because I was like, there's 100,000 ways to put things together to make things work. Let's find the best way, and then let's go ahead and do it. So I got to Promethean, and I realized very quickly that the way that they had assembled their Salesforce puzzle, if you will, was messy and kind of old and clunky and didn't really do like what we wanted to do. So it was almost immediately after we decided to implement CPQ, like Salesforce CPQ, at that company that I realized what my why was. And my why was I didn't want people to keep on like logging into work and being like, oh, I have to go and click through 85 things just to close this opportunity to get this deal done. Like, because that's what the reality was when I got to Promethean is their sales process was like, there was 750 steps. You close the opportunity and then you had to create a brand new one for the sales pipeline. So we had regular pipeline and then sales on top of that. And it was very disconnected, very disjointed. And the sales team constantly was coming back to sales ops, and they were like, why are we doing it this way? This is stupid. This doesn't make sense. We're wasting time. Like, we're not closing deals fast enough. People are walking away from the table. And that was where I found my why was, what can I do and how good can I get at this to make it so that people weren't miserable when they were doing their job? And then like literally, I think my career after that in 2022 like just took off because it was just, I wanted to learn as fast as possible and I wanted to start building things as quickly as possible and make things better and tear out old stuff and put new stuff into place that made more sense. So that is my why.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I was looking around, I don't see my prop. The company I work for is CRM Science, and I don't know if you've ever seen. You'll see us at events wearing lab coats, but part of the logo is a little Rubik's cube. Because it's that same thing. It's that same idea of like your Salesforce is a puzzle. And we I think years ago at Dreamforce we had a puzzle event where like we just had a bunch of puzzles in a room. You could come and solve them and everything. So
that'd be right up my alley.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And I think that one of the things that I think about is you and I we're both interested in RevOps. You're very involved in RevOps, both inside your company and the RevOps community. We're both part of RevOps Co-op. And what you just said, like, the sales team, like they hate the Salesforce instance. Like that's a common theme, right? And when I think about RevOps, like all of us are connected to sales, whether we're in marketing, operations, sales, or we're all part of that same team, right? We all have to keep our sales hat on, or like we can run it the other way, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're sales, you're still part of operations. Like I don't know how many times as a salesperson, it's like we need to talk to this. Like something's not lining up, and can you help us work this out? So it's all one continuous whole. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, like how RevOps has emphasis on RevOps has shaped and helped you in your career.
I think RevOps is everything in a business, and I think more companies are starting to realize that, and they're starting to start to round out and develop these RevOps teams. Because I know a couple of years ago it was sales ops across the board, but it was also sales ops was still so brand new. Like even 2018 through 2020, like there was only like some emphasis on it. It wasn't a huge thing, but now that like people are realizing that they need a team who not only knows like not just your CRM. It doesn't have to just be Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever you're using, Zendesk even. It's everything. You need a very rounded team who can touch every single part of your go-to-market strategy. Can't say words today. In order to like help the business thrive, right? And to help the other teams do their jobs and do their jobs efficiently to help the company generate their revenue at the end of the day. Because like when you think about it, right, businesses go to business to make money. They don't want to go there and lose all their money because then they're not successful. They're not doing anything. So you need a team who specializes in, okay, what's this strategy look like? Let's come together and put it together as a team, and then send it off and get the teams all aligned so that way they know how to get the job done to be able to bring that money in. So, I mean, for me, RevOps is everything for a business. And I think that, like I said at the beginning, I think that more companies are starting to realize that. So I'm very happy to see that happening.
Yeah, well, that's great. So that's already that's I think a great thing to think about for the people who are listening here. I wonder if you could share maybe a few more things that you've learned, maybe two or three things that were just kind of pivotal moments for you in your career that you've learned along the way, and that could be back in the Navy days, working on nuclear reactors, all the way up to you know
So right
Salesforce.
now,
Yeah,
Uh, number one, if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. Like if your company
classic.
uses Salesforce, if your company uses a CRM, whatever you use, if your data's not in there, it doesn't exist. It never happened, right? That's something that I never thought would come back to haunt me throughout my career, but it's something that someone said to me a couple years ago, and I swear to you, like it comes up at least monthly, and I'm like, man, like I can't even believe it that it's still following me. But if it's not there, it doesn't exist, right? Number two, oh gosh, how do I even want to approach this, right? So I think that if you're gonna be a RevOps leader, and this is probably controversial, right? Because like it's as I'm starting to like grow into like becoming more and more of a RevOps leader, if you don't know what your tools do in your system, I don't think that you're going to be able to be successful as a RevOps leader, right? Something that I've come across several times, just like not even just like in my current position or previous positions, because it's across the board, right? Is that we have these leaders who grow with companies who come from like separate realms. Like for example, I know I have a friend who grew from she was in finance, and then she stepped into building out the sales ops team at her company. But she never took the time to learn their CRM, and they had Salesforce at the time. So the company wanted to build out the sales ops team. They gave her a couple of analysts, and then I think a marketing person. There was like three people beneath her. She had no idea what was going on, so she was stressed all the time. She didn't even know like who to call for help. Like didn't even know to like be like, let me go find like a Salesforce admin to come in and fix this. And like ultimately, like what happened with her is she left that role because she was so overwhelmed by like everything coming down and everything just kind of breaking. She moved into a different role where she wasn't in operations anymore because she didn't have the background knowledge, nor did she really have like the drive to kind of like go and learn these things so that she could be there with her team to help her team get better and understand the system and like build it for the business. So I think That's something that I've seen. So if you're going to get into RevOps at all, be prepared to learn everything, like all the things all at the same time, like specializing in your one thing, right? But learn all the other pieces so that way your team is more well-rounded. God, RevOps. Also, be nice to your RevOps team. I'm gonna count that as something that like I wish that more people like understood like what was happening behind the curtains. I think last year at Dreamforce, I went out with the Lean Data team for the OpsStar stuff. My older sister was nominated as a finalist, and we were invited to go have dinner. The recurring theme across the entire like section of the table I was sitting at was RevOps is kind of like the wizard from the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, like the man behind the curtain. Like he's responsible for everything. He does all this stuff, and you don't even know that he does all this stuff until you lift that curtain and you see him back there like with his cup of coffee, and he's like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" But like, be nice to your RevOps team. You have no idea what's going on behind that curtain. There's a lot that we do, and like we do it without expecting like the recognition. I know that I don't these days. I think early in my career I expected it, and I was like sad when like it didn't come to me. But now I get my validation, and I'm like, all right, cool. I just did this amazing thing. I know it works. My team loves it. Hands off, moving on to the next thing, and that makes me feel good. But when people are mean to me for no reason, I'm definitely that person. Like my Slacks are here, and I'm like, who do I want to respond to first and help? Because that person was nice to me 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you also you have Why Admins Drink. That's like channel that's great for what you're talking about, or all caps typing. That's a good channel
Yep.
too. That's right. All the good places for you.
Gosh. Yeah, so I mean, those are like I could probably go on and on about all the things I've learned in RevOps like over the years, but those are the things I think are like just really important, like to remember is be nice to your people. Don't get discouraged when your hard work goes unnoticed, right? Within reason, obviously. Like there's a line there.
Right.
Don't be discouraged, though. We are the wizards behind the curtains, and that's something that I took from Dreamforce last year, and it has changed my perspective on things since last September. September was Dreamforce last year, right? This year it is October, I think.
I think you're
Yeah.
right. Man, that was last year. We don't think of it
I know.
last year. So maybe let me ask you. Obviously you're wearing the Agent Blazer hoodie. I'm not. Like, what are the things that, and maybe it's agent, maybe it's not, but what are the things in the ecosystem that are most interesting to you that you're kind of tracking?
Ooh, so genuinely, my favorite thing that has happened so far that it has been the most fun to like play with is the Copilot that you get with the Einstein for Service add-on. Granted, caveat, if you get Salesforce Unlimited and you get like the Einstein included, if you are a system admin, you do get to play with that early. By the way, I learned that this year.
Nice.
But the Einstein for Service add-on gives you access to the little Copilot, like the Agentforce Copilot thing. No, it doesn't cost credits, so like it's not subject to like whatever the heck is going on with Salesforce's pricing model right now with Agentforce. It's just there and inside of the system. So I know last year when I was at Dreamforce, I did that thing down in the playground where you build your agent and you like mess the prompt builder, you get your T-shirt, you're good to go. But I did that thinking that I was never going to touch it again because I was like, oh, my company's not going to do this right now. But like, we don't have time for this right now. But then we upgraded to Unlimited in January, and I got access to the little Copilot thing, and it has been incredible in that we have a lot of tools integrated with our Salesforce instance. So we have a lot of data coming in that like it's really hard to kind of digest if you're not like if you don't have like a way to look at it like kind of like a full scale picture. Like Gong, primary example. Like our guys use Gong. Those transcripts and their AI tool live inside of the Gong platform, right? But I learned that Gong, you can send over your conversation transcripts to your contacts inside of Salesforce. And then you can just go into this prompt builder for Copilot and say, hey, check this out and summarize this. Tell me what you think is going on here and like what I need to know as a sales agent. So I like set that up really quick. Nice. And now like my team that has the Copilot licenses, And especially like my upper management, the ELT and the SLT, they can log into Salesforce, go to like our big ticket accounts, and they can be like, hey there, Einstein, tell me what's going on with this account right now. And like, because of the way we set it up, in addition to Gong, it's looking at a couple of other things too. But now it knows to go query like my open cases, my calls, my events, my activities, and my open opportunities. And it like takes all 5 of them and it gives us like 2 paragraphs approximately that's like, hey, this account recently just added a couple users to their account. And also we had a phone call where it was a very positive reaction from the person on the other side to so-and-so Sally support over here. It looks like there's an opportunity possibly here for them to grow some more. You should probably reach out to them and schedule a call and see if they want to do this. And like that happened. And I showed that and I was like, this is everything, because yes, Gong has the AI tool that is fantastic for like those instances over on that side. But because all of our data is in Salesforce and now I can funnel all of that in, now Einstein can just take a snapshot of an account and then spit it out. And then my ELT now can like, again, those top 10 accounts, really quickly have it summarize the whole thing and then go sit in their meetings and then talk about these big accounts and kind of what's happening with them. So it's been really cool. That's my favorite thing, I think, that has happened so far.
That's awesome. I think there's some really interesting things there. I think one, I as a consultant, like I'm talking to people about those things, and I think a lot of people immediately think, Salesforce is the only thing they're pushing right now is Agentforce. So everybody's like, can I do Agentforce? Can I do Agentforce to summarize conversations? And it's like, you can, but that's going to be like really expensive. Why don't you just get the Einstein license, right? And people don't realize like there's different SKUs, and the lines being blurred a little bit because I think that's still called Agentforce to people. So like it's very blurry.
Yeah, it's like I won't go into detail about it, but it's been interesting like trying to like figure out like what is included where now, because like the problem is like most people, not just Salesforce, but just in the ecosystem in general, are referring to AI as agent. Everything. And sometimes Einstein is AI, but is not an agent, and then Agentforce is an agent, but also internally we're calling my support team agents. So it's very confusing. And I definitely, no matter what, for anybody who is listening, like if you're going to evaluate that, just talk to your AE about it, because like they're starting to get better and better documentation now since last year to be able to highlight all the things that you get with each individual SKU. So if you tell them, hey, I need to be able to do A, B, C, they can be like, well, this SKU can do A and B, but you need this one for C.
Yeah. I think the easiest way for me to think about it is just like, is it internal or external facing? Like if it's external facing, that's an agent. If it's internal facing, like what you're talking about, that can be Einstein, or we've done a proof of concept with one of our clients that I think you'll love, is for the service channel, right?
Yes.
So yeah, there you go. So they have round the clock service. They're a SaaS company, and they're getting very technical support requests, and we're taking those, analyzing that, and it took us. I think it took like an hour or two to set up the agent, but like to get the prompt to like actually spit out what you want, like I think it took like 25 revisions or something like that. It took a long time.
Yeah, but, that happened to us too.
Yeah, it takes a long time. So it is easy to. I mean, it's easy to set up, and I mean it's pretty easy to change those prompts as well. It takes a lot of effort. So
yeah, especially like when you have complicated things like that, because I think that like we're going to start building out our proof of concept for that too. Luckily, a lot of our stuff, like support wise, is very basic, and it's stuff that I think the Einstein bots could deflect before it ever gets to like an Agentforce level. But yeah, totally agree, because like even with like the Gong transcript that I did build out, to be able to do that in our org, I still had to go in and I had to create like 5 or 6 new actions for it. I had to like reword and say, hey, I know that you pulled this in, but don't do this anymore, and then tell it like exactly how to answer it and to like lay everything out. So yeah.
I agree. It definitely takes some work, but it is really powerful, and it's more than just like another chatbot. Like it actually can do things, and you can have a conversation with it, and to your point, like you do have to have a lot of things set up front. So like if you're going to have it on the service channel, like is your knowledge connected to Salesforce? Like can it actually access those things? And there's data cloud elements in that too. So all sorts of fun things.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I'm still learning kind of as we go, because like we have the Salesforce foundations too, so we're playing around with like all the other stuff, because like data cloud, that's something that like last year I wish that I was told about. Like when they were talking about Agentforce, they were like, here's all these things, buy Agentforce, do this now. Also, you're going to want to have data cloud done. And I'm like, but we don't have that, so
Well,
what do we do now?
yeah, so like Foundations gives you that, but I think I think something that a lot of people don't realize as well, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that I think gets overlooked. Is like when you are using Agentforce, you're consuming data cloud credits as well. So
Yeah.
be aware that the total cost of ownership there.
Yeah, 100, which I don't know if you saw too, but they're looking at like changing away from like the credit stuff to some other version of like billing for data cloud and Agentforce. Maybe it was just Agentforce, I don't even know, but I'm curious to see what they do with that, because that might change up like kind of the approach for the entire year for anybody who's even looking into this.
Yeah, my prediction is that we're going to get to a point where it's the license cost, not a per transaction sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you already see that, with OpenAI, where they have agents that it's like, do you want a knowledge worker? It's this much a month. Do you want a PhD person? It's this much a month. Do you want a whatever? And they've got those tiered pricings. Like at some point, I think it's going to get commoditized and fixed cost, but
Yeah,
not right now.
I like to be fair, I do think that would be like a good way to do it anyway. Like I think it makes just a little bit more sense, especially because of like how widespread it's coming. Like, do you remember when cell phones came out and you had to like pay by minute, and now you just pay for a plan? Because it became like it was a huge part of like our daily lives that like they couldn't afford to keep on charging by the minute anymore because it just didn't make sense. So they swapped over. I think the same thing's going to happen with Agentforce. Really, just OpenAI. Granted, I know ChatGPT. I'm like already subscribed to them. I have like my little Copilot on Visual Studio Code and Git. Like I have all the things. So Agentforce is probably going to fall really closely behind there and do the same thing. So
yeah, we'll see. Well, very good. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with me today and sharing your insights, your thoughts. It's been great connecting with you. Before we leave, I'd love to hear from you. Is there, one, how do people get in touch with you? And two, is there anything that you want to highlight as far as, work that you're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, number one, like I will pretty much accept just about anybody on LinkedIn as long as it doesn't look scammy.
Oh, you're about to get 50 million requests.
I know, like I say that, but like I'll peek through caveats, obviously. But LinkedIn's the best way to find me and to get a hold of me to be able to like chit chat about things. I have been helping like a lot of people like kind of break into the ecosystem in Salesforce specifically. My older sister and I, we presented last year at Mile High Dreaming on how to break into the ecosystem, like when you have no background versus like an accidental admin background. Because my sister was an accidental admin, I was just 0 to 100 when we decided to be a Salesforce admin really quick. So I'm happy to like do resume reviews and to like hop on like Zoom calls and talk to people about like how I got through my interviews and applied to jobs and how to like tell on these LinkedIn postings now if they're fake or real, because I've gotten very good at that too. So that's the best way to get in touch with me, and I'm happy to talk about all those things because I have a lot of resources, especially if you're military. There are a lot of Salesforce veteran and active duty and spousal resources available that I know every single piece of now. I didn't know when I was transitioning, but I got my hands on all of it later, like free certifications. Talk to me about that for real. And yeah, best way to get a hold of me. And then you said, what am I working on right now?
Yeah, anything you want to highlight? Oh
gosh, what do I want to highlight? Number one, I could talk forever about the stuff we're doing at Leap and all this cool stuff, but like I'm really not going to. I wanted to take the time to talk about this tool that I recently, and by recently I've had them for about a year now, and I've been advocating for them at every single event I've gone to. I've been pushing for demos, all the things. They are called Sweep, sweep.io. And it is probably the most used tool by me every single day as a Salesforce admin in this org that I am in. It is incredible. I highly recommend that anybody and everybody who's working in a Salesforce org go check them out. HubSpot too, they integrate with HubSpot, not on the same level as Salesforce, but still worth mentioning. Sweep, by the way, I imagine that you start working at a brand new company, right? Brand new Salesforce admin, new company. You have to go in and go see what the back end, like what in the world's going on back there. And you see that they have like 7 or 8 years of custom Apex code, 7 or 8 years of custom flows, all the things. They have like 150,000 custom fields, and you have no idea what in the world's going on when you click a button on the opportunity page layout, right? Sweep lets you go in, and their documentation tool is at a point where you can click on any flow, you can talk to their little thing and say, tell me what this flow is doing and what it's updating and how it works. And it walks you through the entire thing, including standard Salesforce fields, which anybody who works in Salesforce knows that that little button at the top for standard fields, where is this used, is not a thing. But in Sweep, you can go back there and say, where is this being used at? Where is it referenced? Why is it being updated like this? Same with Apex. You can open up any Apex class and tell it to summarize it and say, what is this Apex class doing? What triggers it? What is it triggering? What is it doing downstream, right? Same thing. It has a built-in deduper, so you can like actually create better deduplication rules inside of Sweep, and it uses the Salesforce matching rules when you deploy it. So like you're still limited to like your 3 match per dupe situation, but it's amazing because it's a lot more like precise than the ones inside of Salesforce. The alerts I love. I have like 150 Slack alerts set up for like very specific scenarios. So like you can set up your Slack alerts in there and send cute messages with like little emojis on it. Like in Salesforce, you can't do that. You can't do emojis in Flow when you're sending Slack alerts, so you're a little limited. You can do your routing rules on every single object that your heart could ever imagine that has an owner, right? So I do like account, lead, contact, and those 3 right now are set up. Account, lead, contact, and case, I have 4. So we do routing rules on those. You can do automations in there. So if you need like a really quick automation done, instead of like going into Flow to like build it out, which arguably like the more senior you get, the easier it is to like build in Flow. But for like the junior level and like the mid-level admins who are very busy or still new to Flow, like you can build an automation in Salesforce and Sweep very quickly, deploy it, and it's immediate. It works. Roll-up fields also, just as a last thing, everybody knows that you only get what, 25, I think. 25 roll-up fields per object in Salesforce. In Sweep, you can have like as many fields in there as you want that is allowed on any object. So like if you have like an 800 field limit, you can have 800 roll-up fields in Sweep, and it creates it as the data type that you want. So if you're doing roll-ups for like seat counts, as an example, it creates it in Salesforce as a number field, and then the roll-up is managed inside of Sweep. So like It bypasses all of that. That was critical. That actually played a huge part in my unified billing project. I know this sounds like a sales pitch, but I use this I'm not even kidding. I use this every single day, every single part of it. That documentation tool is something that I was telling marketing over at Sweep. I was like, you guys need to sell this to the admins, because the moment that you say, I can go in and ask it to tell me what in the world's happening in my backend, and I can see what standard fields are doing what, they're going to be like, sold. I don't care about the rest. The rest is extra. But yeah, so Sweep, like for real, I get paid nothing to talk about this. This tool has changed my life dramatically. It's made it a lot easier. I've been able to like push out changes and do things a lot faster in my org. These alerts, like when people want to like tweak their alerts, instead of having to like go find the text template that's associated with like a random element in a flow somewhere, it takes me like 15 minutes to do that. I can log in a Sweep and in 30 seconds have it deployed to my Slack channel. Done. So it's like, it's incredible. Definitely recommend for you too. I would go check it out, watch like their demo. But that documentation piece, like for real, like that was like chef's kiss game changer, and it actually helped me with my billing project that we just completed last month. So
Right on. Well, I'm very interested. I'll definitely go check that out and show it to my team too. So very good.
totally worth it.
Yep. Well, Rebecca, thanks again for joining me today. I appreciate it. I appreciate talking to you.